I think the lazy therapist also comes from probably a lot of this corporate bullshit where they want you to see 35 people a week.
Atomic Souls Podcast.
But I love this idea of externalizing things because, right, like when we talk about the obesity, like we can give it a name, like Henry.
Yeah, a part, yeah.
Henry makes me overeat.
Yeah.
Right? Those kind of things. And I love it if you do this with, particularly with your anxiety, right? You can, we were talking about anxious kids earlier. That what made me think of it is all these kids are so anxious. And I would always tell my daughter, like, why don't you take a vacation from your anxiety for a while?
Yeah.
You can always come back to it. You can always come back to it later. It will be there. You know, and all those little CBT things that we learn and REBT things, they really are effective, especially for anxiety.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are suffering with anxiety when if they could find a good therapist doing the right thing, and I don't like it when therapists put themselves out there and they go, oh, I do CBT. Oh, really? Do you have your patients put pen to paper?
Right.
No. Well, then it's not CBT.
Yeah, one of our therapists is classically trained in CBT, and it's like very active and very intense. It's not just like passive. Like
if you come into my
your
office,
thoughts and your feelings go together. Like
no, we're getting on a worksheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't come to me with more problems. You're just going to get more worksheets.
Yeah.
When I say it's like about like behavior change, that's what I'm talking about, right? We're going to look at this problem. We're going to break it down. We're going to be efficient.
Right.
And we're going to solve this problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But sure, not the problem. The person is not the problem. The problem is the problem. And if you can work with a counselor to get down to what is the problem, right? And we do this in AA. Like this is like my next thing that I'm like really want to do. I want to write a book that's like the 12 steps over here and CBT over here, and how there's so much overlap.
Needed. That is so needed because I don't know about in Dallas or California, but Austin, there's very few therapists who do both mental health and addiction.
It's very hard to find.
Can cross that, and I feel like that's something that we do well here. Is like something that I've integrated. Like all our therapists, even like a lot of us aren't in recovery, but I'm like, you're going to read the big book. You're going to learn the 12 steps. You're going to see how it's very similar to the CBT process and like the DBT, just different wordage. And so, that's very needed. I think please do it.
I think the character defects are really just a way to name those problems, right? Yeah. It's the people pleasing that's the problem. And you can name the people pleasing Harvey if you want to. Like we can tease this out and we can do something with it. We don't have to sit there and let the same problem over and over and over come into our life and cause us issues, right? Yes. It's like, let's get down to these little things that are going to help us to get better, but we're not going to get better unless we behave different.
And at first, like with the first few steps, right, you're accepting help from a higher power or just a therapist. Like, you have to like be willing to make change, and then you like make change. And then the end of it, which is usually the end of therapy, is like, how do I integrate into society and like interpersonal effectiveness? So it's the same process through the steps. Like,
well, and I will
CBT, a CBT, like
it really is. And I will tell you that like even in sobriety, like I keep learning things. Like a lot of times, like I have to learn like to keep my mouth shut. Like I'm a therapist. I love to talk. I could talk all day.
Yeah.
I mean, here I'm on here. I could probably come back in a month and talk again. You know, I could talk a lot.
We have 8 months of podcasts.
And honestly, right? And you might be. But honestly, that's one of the things that patients would always say is they'll say, I like you're such a good therapist because you talk to me.
Yeah.
You're active. You help me with things.
Yeah. We just had a client who's for 20 years going to therapy. And we just figured out that they never addressed their childhood trauma. And they're like, why am I so anxious and depressed? Bro, you never looked at this. Your therapist is crazy for not looking at that. Very inactive, lazy therapist.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah.
People want to be seen. They want the solutions.
But I think we get a lot, you know, and I think the lazy therapist also comes from probably a lot of this corporate bullshit where they want you to see 35 people a week. Yeah. That's
burnt out, lazy, or just uneducated, untrained properly.
Probably all of the above in some of them, you know. And I think a lot of it was, you know, some of these older therapists, right? They really came out of the Freudian stuff where it was just like, oh, you just let people talk and they solve their own problems.
Right.
I don't think that works.
Speed it up a little more.
Yeah. I don't think I just don't think that sitting around, if I was going to sit around and talk to myself and solve my problems, I can do that by myself.
Right.
I don't need to pay someone to do that.
Yeah. But people think it works because the therapist says it works.
Sure.
But so they keep going and then they're still stuck in the cycles because they're not finding solution.
I think a lot of that was sort of this intellectualism that started off that way. Yeah. I think also a lot of it was sort of the gender roles, right? It was like this man was going to fix the women's problem by listening to her. Yeah. It's funny, again, Mad Men, right? On the show Mad Men, how she goes to the psychiatrist, and then after the session, the psychiatrist calling the husband. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's like not helping her.
Women are hysterical. They need to talk everything out.
Yeah, not helping.
Yeah.
So I love that technique.
Death to the passive therapist era.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, I think you can bring this idea of externalizing problems into couples therapy as well, because that was actually the class narrative therapy. That's what it was, narrative therapy, which was also like this guy was such a good teacher, and he talked about how, you can write these stories about your life and you can edit it. And I will tell you that when I did that, I never went to treatment the first time I got into recovery. I just showed up. Yeah. But the second time I was like, I'm feeling like a crazy shut-in because of COVID, so I'm going to go do
a little extra help.
I just went a little place 18 days, and it was really nice, and I enjoyed it. And then I needed to come home because I was like, I can't live with a bunch of strangers anymore. But part of what they have you do there is they literally have you, kind of write your story down from the get-go. Yeah. And I really like doing that, especially after, having more time, or more, what's the word I'm looking? Not more time necessarily, but more life experience. Life experience. And, seeing ways that, you can go in there and re-edit your story, So I think that can be a very powerful vehicle for people. Yeah. And I think that's something that you could even use in like the ketamine kind of way, is you could be working on that stuff outside of it. Right. And then you come into the ketamine session and maybe you reflect on that, or maybe you think about it. I will say I've done some reflecting. Yeah. Nice. It's not super active, but it's just a way to honestly it's almost like a meditation for 2 hours for me, because I don't have to think about anyone. I don't look at any of the messages coming in on my phone. I don't look at social media. Yeah. I just have 2 hours for me where I just sit there and be still. Yeah. And it's kind of nice. Yeah. I wonder if the whole world didn't just have an hour to themselves, if we wouldn't have a better place. Yeah. To just do whatever you want to do. Just listen to music or write a poem or read a book or whatever. We get so busy. And I think that meditative time is sorely lacking in our culture. And
I think a lot of our culture is reactive. And so the narrative therapy, like you're talking about, taking an active role to edit how you want to. And I think we can do that in our day-to-day life as well. And I think people feel powerless often. So, but it's like, well, life is what you make it. Like, you can take an hour if you want to every day, figure it out. Right. You have to sacrifice something.
And I think where it gets wacky, right, is people have to set boundaries with people to do that. You have to go, you know what? No, tomorrow I'm going to take an hour for myself. Yeah. And you have to tell your partner you're taking the kids for an hour and I'm going to do this for myself. Yeah. And I think a lot of people just don't want to do that. Or there's this kind of, and not every situation is the same, but it's this self-importance, right? Where people, a lot of times if they don't want to take a vacation because they're afraid the company will fall apart without them.